So the other day we just got the announcement of a Switch OLED model. So this is the revamped Switch that has been heavily rumored for the past, I'd say, several years now. We're finally getting a model that's expanded beyond the traditional Switch model, which is exciting for sure. It's not the upgrade that I personally wanted. I know a lot of people wanted. At least that we know of right now, it doesn't have any sort of updated chipset or processing capabilities. It's basically the same Switch with just a bigger screen and an OLED screen panel. There are a couple other improvements too, including a better kickstand and a LAN port on the dock, as well as improved sound quality from the actual system itself. As far as we know right now, the upgrade mainly, if you don't count that LAN port on the dock, basically nothing affects play on TV mode. So unless you're playing in handheld mode, from what we know now, you're not going to really notice a difference between a traditional Switch and the Switch OLED model. So right off the bat, that's my main disappointment, is that it's not a more substantial upgrade, especially in terms of processing, because there's some games on the Switch that they kind of chug a little bit. The frame rate isn't always the best. And this is right in line with what Nintendo typically does with a hardware refresh mid-generation. They usually don't go too crazy on upgrades. Like if you think back to the new 3DS, the Game Boy Color, DS Lite, it's kind of the same deal. Just a little bit higher quality, more premium model that will entice those that maybe haven't bought one yet. Maybe we'll push them over the edge to actually purchase their first Switch, or for the hardcore fan base that wants the newest, hottest model. It comes in two colors, so it comes in the red and blue Joy-Con like the traditional Switch does, the iconic launch colorway that came along with the gray. So there's one that looks pretty much identical to that Switch, and then there's this white colorway, which is the main one they seem to be pushing, which I think looks really nice. I instantly thought PS5. It'd be cool if you got one of these and then you had the PS5 and the Series S, because they all have these white and black color schemes. And the announcement was really just out of nowhere. Drop on Twitter, just a trailer reveal. And one of the coolest things is that it's coming so soon. So it's coming the same day as Metroid Dread, October 8th, 2021. So on that day, Nintendo fans will have the opportunity to pick up Metroid Dread, probably the most anticipated game of the year, along with brand new hardware. So a brand new OLED Switch model, which is amazing. Hype is through the roof, honestly. Is it enough for current Switch owners? I'd say it really depends on how much you play your Switch handheld, because it's really just a handheld upgrade. When you think about it, the things that were updated, the display on the actual Switch itself, the kickstand, and the upgraded sound quality, that's all stuff that's used in handheld mode and ignored on TV mode. And TV mode, aside from being able to plug in to a wired connection, that's really the only upgrade that we know of right now. There is the 64 gigabyte internal storage space, which is nice. Nothing too crazy. I think most of us that buy digital games too, we already have large SD cards to store all our downloads and don't really care too much about the internal storage, but it's another plus. And if you don't have a Switch yet and you're thinking of picking one up, this is absolutely wait for this. This is the one you want. So I was thinking, what games would benefit from this redesigned model in particular? And a couple come to mind right off the bat. Games that I and a lot of people I know play in handheld mode. Games that are better suited for handheld mode, or games that really lend themselves well to handheld mode. First is Fire Emblem Three Houses. First of all, just Fire Emblem games, traditionally handheld, at least the newer ones, 3DS. When I think of Fire Emblem, I think 3DS. And so playing Fire Emblem on a handheld feels really natural. And a complaint that I heard a lot about Three Houses is that the text on some of the menus and just some of the text in the game in general was small and pretty hard to read. So having a little bit bigger screen, better quality screen, and just more real estate on the screen can expand some of that small text. Fire Emblem also is a game that you can take in handheld mode, take into bed, take leaving the house, going on a trip somewhere. Good game to grind, maybe on the couch while you're watching TV or something like that. It's a good game where you can just grind out battles and not really worry about it too much. So I think playing Three Houses on a Switch OLED model will be definitely a good experience, improved from the regular Switch. Next, kind of in a similar vein, I have to say Pokemon Sword and Shield will be great on Switch OLED. I know when I played Sword and Shield, I was taking it handheld a lot. I think just because I'm used to, similar to Fire Emblem, I'm in that handheld mindset when I play Pokemon. It was really awesome to experience Sword and Shield on the TV because this was really the first time we got a mainline title playable on home console. So I definitely played on TV mode a fair share amount, but I couldn't really stay away from playing Pokemon on handheld too, especially when it came to things that were more grindy that I know a lot of people like to do in Pokemon games, such as train up their team, level up their team, breed Pokemon, find shinies, do all kinds of tedious training, even raid battles and raid dens. All that kind of stuff is awesome in handheld mode, especially when you're doing other things at the same time. You can take your Switch around and wherever you need to be, you can also still be playing Pokemon and grinding your team or grinding to find a certain shiny Pokemon. So playing Pokemon Sword and Shield on a better screen, a better model of the Switch, definitely will be a plus. And it's one of the games I think is going to be greatly improved playing on the Switch OLED and handheld. Also, Super Mario Maker 2 is one that's sneakily going to be a lot better on the Switch OLED, just because when you're building courses in Mario Maker 2, if you're in handheld mode, you're able to use the Switch's touchscreen to drag pieces around. So just having a little more screen real estate to do that, and just a brighter, more colorful canvas where you can make your levels, it's going to be fantastic for Mario Maker creators especially. 2D Mario is always great on a handheld too, so even if you're not making levels, just having that better screen to play all these levels on, that's a plus as well. Okay, this one's kind of cheating because it's not out yet, but it's launching with the console. Metroid Dread's a no-brainer. It's what everyone's going to be playing on their Switch OLED models when they pick them up at launch. Sticking kind of to the central theme around this video, Metroid traditionally handheld. When I think of Metroid, I think first of the GBA games, Zero Mission and Fusion, traditionally handheld games. Even Super Metroid, the other one I think of, it's available handheld on the Switch Online, and also you can play on the Wii U gamepad, and it's on 3DS also. Having Metroid Dread, brand new Metroid game, playable on brand new Switch hardware in handheld mode with a better screen, better colors. Can't think of many games better suited. I think Metroid Dread is definitely a smart game to launch with the Switch revision, and I also think it's going to be one of the games that benefits most for playing it on a bigger and better screen on the Switch OLED. And the last game I want to shout out is actually Super Mario 3D All-Stars. So when I think back to the best handheld experiences I've had, or at least the most memorable, one that I always come back to is when the DS first launched. It launched with Super Mario 64 DS. And I know back at that time, I was really amazed at being able to take Super Mario 64, which was this full 3D console experience, and playing it on a handheld, whether I was in the car on a road trip or something like that. I could have Super Mario 64, the actual Super Mario 64 with me. And that kind of blew my mind back then. And now when I think about it, I'm not quite as amazed as I was back then because it was so revolutionary back then. But having Sunshine and Galaxy as well as 64 all in one package on a handheld is it's stuff I wouldn't even have imagined back in the day playing the DS. So playing those Mario games on a handheld with even higher quality, it was already great and mind-blowing. And I think just playing it on a bigger and better display, it's just gonna blow my mind even more. I don't think we should really understate how important it is having those games in handheld. Like, we can sometimes take for granted that we have a lot of these experiences on handheld now because of the Switch. And I think playing games like Super Mario 64, Galaxy, and Sunshine, they serve as a good reminder that this kind of stuff, playing console quality games, was kind of just something you dreamed about back in the day. So these Mario games, they'll look even better than they already do on handheld mode on the Switch OLED, and I think that's going to be a plus for everyone who's picking up this model. So what do you think? Are you picking up a Switch OLED model, or are you just sticking with your traditional Switch? If you're not picking one up, is there a certain feature that could be added that would make you change your mind? What games do you think will benefit the most from the increased quality of the Switch OLED model? Let me know down in the comments, and hit subscribe for more quality Nintendo content.